Hello, Dr. Dick Schwartz.
Teresa,
It's nice to see you.
you as well. I've shifted my focus away from training therapists, although our institute still does a lot of that, toward trying to bring IFS in a bigger way to the culture and to integrate it into various influential systems and leaders, particularly social activists, but not just. We started a training program for executive coaches, for example, and I do retreats by invitation and invite certain kinds of leaders to come. And so that's one thrust, is to try and infect it into organizations of various kinds, both profit and nonprofit. And yeah, and I've got a lot of help now.
How so?
Just a lot of people that can take it places I can't. And then we'll keep hiring more people to just get it bigger. Maybe 8 ketamine and IFS retreats with a co-lead with a woman named Sunny Strasberg, who's an expert. And we found the combination to be amazing. That's why I keep doing it. And in terms of addiction, I think it can be addictive if you're using it to get away from your exiles. But we're doing the opposite. We're helping people go and heal their exiles. So I don't worry about that so much. And I'm honored to say that IFS is now thought of as one of the primary models in the psychedelic world.
Wow.
Because it, people take these medicines and then all these parts show up. And so they need to know how to handle that. And the medicines seem to put their managers to sleep, and so they access a lot of self a lot of the time. So.
And for those of us who don't have access to a ketamine clinic, in Connecticut anyway, marijuana is legal. Do you see any of the same benefits from using that combined with therapy, or not as much?
Marijuana is not my personal drug, and I haven't tried it in combination with the therapy, so I couldn't really speak to that.
I was just curious. Yeah. I figured it's accessible now, so
I haven't heard about people that are doing that.
Yeah,
so.
you and I had spoken a little bit about metaphysics. Metaphysics is the scientific study of consciousness and existence, and its aim is to increase our understanding of ourself, humanity, and the multiverse. So does that seem to jive with what you're doing?
I guess so.
Yeah. Because it's taking the inside world and applying it to the outside world.
Well, we are doing that. I associate metaphysics more with the spiritual world.
And I after we spoke, I looked it up. Metaphysics is the most abstract branch of philosophy, and it includes theoretical mathematics, quantum physics, psychic phenomena, spiritual counseling, paranormal science, UFOlogy, hypnosis, and more. There's a lot of philosophers who were metaphysicians and perhaps didn't even realize, they didn't call themselves that, but many of those sciences bring together the internal world and show us how to navigate the external world. So maybe you're a metaphysician and you didn't even know it.
Yeah, I like to think of myself that way.
So what can most of us do? Because I love your model. Perhaps, I know you explained it last time, but perhaps you can give us a little snippet of what IFS is and how it can help.
Well, it originally was a form of psychotherapy, and now it's become a life practice, and for some people, a spiritual practice. And it's based on the idea that the mind is naturally multiple, that we actually have a bunch of these little minds inside of us that communicate with each other and have relationships with each other and are full-range interpersonalities that we call parts, because that's what people called them initially when I was working with them. And they're great because they help us navigate the world and have all these wonderful resources and qualities. But trauma and attachment injuries take them out of their naturally valuable states and force them into extreme roles that can actually be damaging. And they get frozen in time during the trauma, so they think you're still quite young and they need to protect you in the way they did back then. And some of them are the ones who get hurt the most. They're the most sensitive, kind of young inner children who, before they were hurt, were these loving, open, innocent, creative parts of us. But when they get hurt, or they feel shamed, or they get terrorized, terrified, now they carry that burden of worthlessness or emotional pain or terror, and they can overwhelm us with that and make it hard to function. So we push them away. So we call those exiles. And when you have a lot of exiles, the world seems a lot more dangerous and you feel a lot more delicate. So other parts have to become protectors and are forced to leave their naturally valuable states and step up. And some of them try to manage your life so that you don't get triggered anymore, trying to control everything, or these inner critics that are yelling at you all the time to get you to behave or look better.
To be perfect.
Be perfect. There's people often have a big caretaking manager that takes care of everybody, doesn't let you take care of yourself.
And what about people pleasing?
Yeah,
okay.
That's commonly a manager.
Hello.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
So they have in common that they are trying to please people, and they're also trying to preempt anything that might trigger you. Your exiles. But the world does that anyway, and you get triggered, and all this raw flames of emotion burst out, and something has to be done immediately. So there's another set of part we call firefighters, who impulsively will go and take you away from all this feeling. And shopping is one.
How about scrolling? Would that be a firefighter?
Yeah, if it's distracting for from your exiles. But the more common ones are drugs and alcohol, or rage, or dissociation, or there's a bunch of common firefighter activities.
Okay.
So the distinction is really the managers are preemptive, the firefighters are reactive, and they don't care about the collateral damage to you or to your relationships. They just got to get you away from these feelings.
They're saving you, in essence.
They think they are anyway, yeah.
Right. But maybe it's really detrimental behavior that's happening.
Often it is.
Yeah.
But they're still stuck in the past where they had to do it. And they think if they don't do it, you're going to die. So they think they're saving you. Yeah.
Wow. Wow, that's a big job.
Yeah.
Wow. So when we get to know all of our parts, hopefully we can take time and get to know them, maybe through therapy or books, or what are some good ways to discover them?
Yeah. There are a lot of IFS therapists, but also we're starting to bring it to the public. So we have a workbook that came out this year, and there are a lot of YouTube videos and a lot of books. Yeah.
Yeah. When I first discovered your model, that's what I watched some sample sessions. It was really eye-opening because it's not something we talk about or think about, really.
No, not a bit. The other thing about IFS, this is the sort of big discovery, is that in addition to these parts, there's a essence to us that when the parts open space will pop out and has all these great C-word qualities like calm, curiosity, compassion, creativity, confidence, courage, clarity, and connectedness. I call the 8 C's of self-leadership. I call that the self with a capital S. And that can't be damaged and knows how to heal. So if I were working with you, I would first try to access yourself, and then I would have you start to interact with different parts of you and help them feel good.
So like myself could help my parts heal and talk to them
Yeah.
and it knows what to do, or how does it operate?
Most people kind of know how to do it. They'll take over the session,
Wow.
and sometimes I'll give a little bit of a lead, but at some point I'll say, okay, what do you want to say to that part, Teresa?
Oh,
And then you'll say the right thing.
wow. I would have said what you might have said.
Yeah.
Maybe. It was a conference, I think, in California. You said our parts have parts. So that reminds me of quantum physics and fractal geometry, that seashell thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, totally.
That's cool.
Yeah, I ran into that when I was working with someone diagnosed with what would now be called DID, but used to be called multiple personality disorder. And when you're working with those clients, you wind up having to work with one part for a long time. I mean, 10 sessions talking the same part. And it began talking about its parts, and
Did that freak you out?
it did. And then I could work with its parts. It had a self too.
Oh my, it had a self as well. That's wild. So it's the same design, just smaller.
Yeah, and I want one layer lower, and it's the same.
No. And what strikes me, what made me think of this is because you got to this model from taking family therapy. So you took family therapy, shrunk it, and then you keep going, and it's
the
perhaps
same. It's turtles all the way down.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah. So that is very eye-opening. And I'm very into the parallels among these different systems. So.
I know, because you said you're a systems thinker, and I'm like, I want to be like that. So I started looking at the world through systems, and it's like, wow, it sort of connects you with like your own little life and the whole universe.
That's right.
And without being woo-woo, it's scientific. So it's pretty interesting. Now, a lot of folks are concerned about AI. So would you ever, would you ever think of working with AI as a part of us?
Not so much as a part, but we have been considering using AI not as a therapist, although when we looked into it, there are 6 apps on this market that are basically IFS therapists that are AI.
Wow.
And some people like them. But I still think a person needs to be involved. But AI might be great for helping people between sessions and also to teach the model. We're looking at it for that.
Because I like people, and I feel like we don't want to lose our humanity.
We don't lose our teachers either.
Right. Right. Would you ever, I feel like myself is my soul. Would you ever consider shifting your therapeutic approach to more of a spiritual angle?
Well, it already is fairly spiritual, and I'm talking about that more, like I did the other day. So it wouldn't be a shift, it's just being more open about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The last book I wrote, I hinted at a lot of the spiritual aspects of it, and I'm going to do a series of interviews with Tammy Simon, who It Sounds True, where I'll discuss more depth the spirituality of it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Good. And is there, for you personally, do you have like a fear of being less validated scientifically because of spiritual ties?
Yeah, well, that's kept me quiet about it until lately.
Understandable.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm getting old and less worried about that. And IFS is popular enough now that I think it can't be too damaged by it.
No. And it might even be strengthened. It might surprise you.
In many circles, it'll be strengthened, but in academic circles, it's not probably the case.
So yeah, I studied the scientific method in one of my courses, and that's really against pretty much the metaphysical stuff, and also the anything that's not scientifically proven that you can't replicate, and all that stuff is poo-pooed on by our scientific communities typically.
Yeah.
So that's got to be hard. Thank you for meeting with me and talking about your model and what you've been up to.
Happy to do it. Enjoyed being with you.
Thank you. Thank you.